Hello there. Welcome to Art Supply Thursdays. Today I'm going to review the Pilot Explorer fountain pen. So I bought this Pilot Explorer as an impulse buy, and it had a really nice display in a big stationery store with all the different color pens on this rotating turnstile thing, and saw that it was affordable and a new fountain pen, at least new to me, so I had to pick it up. It cost me about 700 Taiwan dollars, which is about 23 US dollars. The pen comes in a triangular box like this, and it has a micro suede finish, which is kind of reminds me of the waterproof jackets or backpacks you find in camping stores. It's like a micro suede rubbery finish, which actually feels quite nice, even though it's based in cardboard. And it has Explorer, just kind of embossed in there, right there, and Pilot on the side with its logo, and slides out to reveal the pen inside, held by these elastic bands here. So the box has this red strip on it, which matches the pen, and I saw that the store clerk was selecting all the boxes because she had to assemble the box. Because it was in a display unboxed, so she had to assemble the box to sell it to me, and so they had different colors to match the different color of pens. All kinds of all kinds of greens and blues and everything to match the pen. So that's kind of nice. So when I first saw the pen, I thought it was metal. As you can see, it really looks metal, kind of like the anodized aluminum from a Lamy All-Star or something. But it's not. It's actually plastic. It's plastic. You can really see it kind of see it kind of in the cap, perhaps. But yeah, just a plastic pen, not metal, which is a little disappointing. I didn't look closely at the pen. I just bought it. But it has advantages and disadvantages to that. I guess I have to give credit to Pilot for creating such a good finish that looks metal when it's not. It's a little strange though, because this is actually slightly more expensive than the Pilot Metropolitan, or Pilot MR, as it's also called, which is actually metal. So you can see in comparison, the size comparison. It's it's very close to the same size, just slightly larger than the Metropolitan. And branding on this one is pretty subtle. It's got, it's large, but it's just like a relief in there in the same color, so it doesn't take away from the aesthetics, but still, you can see that it is definitely Pilot brand. It's a snap cap. And it's not really hard to pull off, but I think it will stay secure if it's in a pocket. Sometimes I have pens that come off when they're in a pocket, and when they're clipped in there, and they will become unattached and then maybe even come out and then leak onto my pants or something. So it seems like it'll be secure. I guess that is where plastic is an advantage in this sense, because then the weight of this is not too much, so that it won't want to pull it and uncap it by itself. So it seems like it will stay and perhaps even be slightly more secure than a Metropolitan would be in a pocket, because they both have about the same amount of pull required to uncap them. This is a proprietary nib that's you can only get from Pilot. And so you can't swap it with let's say a standard number 5 nib you might buy or whatnot, but you can swap it with a Metropolitan. Or I got a couple of them here. So this one, they have the same nib and feed on them. So if you have a Metropolitan and you have a fine nib on that one, for example, or even a Plumix. I got a Plumix here, which I unfortunately lost the nib. It had one of those stub nibs, which it called a broad. But anyway, I wish I had not lost that. But that can be swapped with this as well. So that's nice if you have, because I got a medium on this one. I have a fine on my Metropolitan, so you can just switch out to whatever you like as long as you have those other pens. Oh, one thing I want to comment on is the what's engraved on the nib here. It's just a little strange. It says, Pilot, superior quality, Japan. Okay, I don't think they need to push their brand anymore as they've been around for a while, but that's what it says. The filling system here is a cartridge converter. It came with a black cartridge. Here's a standard Pilot cartridge. There you go. Came with one of these black cartridges. But I have a Con 40 in here right now, and I have it filled with some Waterman Serenity Blue ink. Looks like this. A nice, good, reliable, kind of like a royal blue type of ink. The pen grip is round, and although it's not contoured like the Safari, so a lot of people prefer to not have it force you to have a certain grip. So that's a little advantage for the most part, unless you like that Safari grip. Here's a Safari. You can do a little comparison in the size right here. It's almost exactly the same size as a Lamy Safari, or But yeah, see the contoured grip on the Safari compared to the round grip here. And, so it will post securely. It doesn't make it back heavy because it's too much, because it's all light, which actually I find it to be a slight disadvantage that it's so light, because any movement of your hand could lift it off the paper. You just have to get used to it, because if a pen's a little bit heavier, I prefer it, because then you just let it fall down and write itself, rather than you have to make sure it's contacting the paper and a slight movement of your hand doesn't pull it back up or something like that. All right, now let's check out a writing sample. Okay, I'm not sure if it's micro burrs or what was on the nib, but it wrote relatively smooth to start, but it took about a day to break in and smooth itself out. Now it's very pleasant to write with, and even though it has some added weight, which would make it feel a little more secure in the hand, it writes it writes very well. This medium nib writes like a fine nib, which is like Japanese nibs tend to write finer than what they're labeled. The flow is really great for taking notes, as it lays down enough ink for long and saturated lines, but it's dry enough to quickly allow a lefty like myself to run your hand over it after a few seconds without it smudging. The pen is okay for drawing, because the ink does flow well and it's an unbroken line, but it's not really an artistic use pen. The nib isn't made to flex. Rather, its function seems to be consistent, reliable writing. And so I can compare it to a Lamy in that sense, which is also not made for flexing, but rather for an enjoyable, smooth writing experience. So that is the Pilot Explorer. Basically, it's a Pilot MR, or a Pilot Metropolitan, with a different body, if you want to put it real simply. It serves the same purpose. It has a good, reliable writing pen. Uses the same nib and feed. It's a little odd that it costs more. Could be because it's new and the Metropolitan's been out quite a while. And it's plastic, so it's a little strange that it's about $5 more than the Metropolitan. But one could say it has a more professional look. I mean, I have it in red here, which is a black or a gray or something would be more suited for an office, I suppose. But compared to, you may not like the tapered ends of a Metropolitan. You may prefer this. So if you like a different look, you're looking for a good quality starter fountain pen, or simply a reliable one that looks great for a low price, I recommend this Pilot Explorer. And so thanks guys very much.